All right, we've got the audio video up, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled November Washington County Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting and Washington County Planning Board meeting. We'll start with the Washington County Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. If we could have roll call, please.
Joe Maynard.
Here.
Maria Banks.
Here.
Lisa Miller.
Here.
Jay Piercy. Is absent. Neil Helm.
Here.
Philip Humbard.
Present.
Lauren Shackelford.
Here. Okay, so we do have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order based on roll call on the quorum. First item is the approval of the agenda. New business for the Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. We have one item tonight, a variance hearing, Fayetteville Planning Area, Leslie and Carol Sadrick variance for road frontage. Is there any adjustments or modification to the agenda? Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if we would, start with the staff report for the item on the Zoning Board of Adjustments, please.
Just double checking you can see everything on our presentation on your screens.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got our vicinity map, our site map, and our neighbor map. And as a summary, this project lies in the Fayetteville planning area. The applicant is requesting to vary from the road frontage requirements set by the city of Fayetteville. The tracks will have 44.49 feet and 30.96 feet of road frontage, rather than the required 75 feet. To date, planning staff has not received any comments concerning the project.
Okay. Thank you. Any question of the staff from the board? Okay, if not, I'll ask the applicant or applicant's representative to please tell us a little bit about the project.
Thank you. Good evening. Nathan Crouch with Balloon Associates, representing the survey company and the client, Carol Shadrack. I just wanted to mention, yes, this is in the planning area, and these two driveways exist as they are. And all they want to do is split off a little area off the back of the property, and we've gone through probably 5 months worth of iterations on this between the city and myself and the client. And we've really whittled it down to a property line adjustment instead of a split. And as far as the frontage goes, these two driveways exist, and the terrain is a bit prohibitive of putting the driveway somewhere else. And so I just wanted to tell you about the terrain. If you have any questions about the survey or the intent, I'd be happy to answer them.
Appreciate it, sir. Any questions of the applicant's representative? Okay. Anybody in the public like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close it to public comment and bring it back to the board for action. Got a motion for approval?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll also entertain a motion to adjourn the Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. And I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move on to the County Planning Board meeting. Start with roll call again, please.
Joe Maynard. Maria Banks.
Here.
Lisa Miller.
Here.
Jay Piercy is absent. Neil Helm.
Here.
Philip Humbard.
Here.
Lauren Shackelford.
Here. Okay, so we do have a quorum, so we'll call the meeting to order. The first item is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting, which was the September 28th, 2023 meeting. Those have been submitted to you all for review. Any additions, modifications that need to be made to those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the September 28th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, on to new business. On to the approval of the agenda. We've got several items that are listed here. I'm not going to read through them all. Any changes from the staff as
submitted.
Okay, so the agenda is set or is recommended as set. Any changes from the board? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Got a motion for approval of the agenda
I'll second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move forward. First off, conditional use permit hearings. The first one's in the county PSR excavation CUP. Staff report, please.
We've included the vicinity map, our site map, and our neighbor notification map. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to build a 50-foot by 60-foot shop building for the purpose of storing and working on his equipment for his excavation and construction business. The project parcel is 7 acres. The project itself will use 12,000 square feet or 0.4 acres. To date, planning staff has not received any comments concerning this project. The project parcel will contain the applicant's home, a 3,000 square foot shop building, and a 9,000 square foot gravel parking lot. The business will have 5 employees. Hours will be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and signage will be 8 foot by 6 foot non-illuminated.
And there is like an hour like of lunches in between. It's going to be closed as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And this requires a conditional use permit because it's commercial based,
Yes,
correct?
sir. And it's going to be like in and out, like trucks and employees.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any questions of staff report from the board? If not, I'll ask the applicant or applicant's representative to come fill us in on the project. If you would, please, sir, state your name and address for the record.
John Sultan. We'll be at 11839 Highway 156.
Thank you, sir.
So we're just going to build a shop to maintain our equipment and a lot to park equipment on while we're not using it on a job.
Okay. And so, sorry, I usually have this in front of me. There's conditions, recommended conditions of approval from staff, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you seen those conditions, sir? Okay. Do not allow vehicle fluids to drip on the ground. The provision of reasonable screening to neighbor properties is recommended. Any further additions in terms of expanding the current developed structure or building new structures for either this business or gathering purposes must come back to the board. You have any issues with those? Okay. Questions from the board of the applicant? Okay, appreciate it, sir. We may call you back. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to this conditional use permit request? If you would, please state your name and address for the record as you come up.
Barry Mason, and it would be 20208 Bond Road, Springdale, Arkansas.
Thank you, sir.
I'm here on the behalf of Colleen.
If you would, please sit down and speak into the microphone for the record. Thank you, sir.
I'm here on the behalf of Colleen Richardson, which owns the neighboring 42 acres to the north. Okay. And that she is requesting that he maintain the 1,347 feet of driveway that is our access to our property back to this shop. We have cattle guard and stuff like that. He is going to be running this heavy equipment over to access the building and his 5 employees. And we're just simply asking that he be required to maintain the road from the pavement to his place of business.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anybody else from the public like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. You absolutely can. With the applicant, can we visit with you again, please, sir? Go ahead. I'll let you.
Would you be willing to agree to maintain the road and do whatever?
Well, I got to drive up and down it every day, so yeah, I'll keep it graded and cleaned up and fix anything that goes bad.
What is the cattle guards that go across it, or is it
It's
gated?
a little spot where the creek drains across the road.
Do you share the same road? Does he run cattle in that area? Is that what I'm asking?
Well, it's just a crossing. There's no cattle in the area. There's no fences or anything in that area.
Okay.
It's just a spot where they've got like a bridge where the drainage crosses over the road. It probably really needs dug out and a good culvert put in there, but that's for a later date.
Is it county road or is it private road, or do we know?
It's a private road.
Private
It's private road,
yeah.
okay, okay,
Okay, I'd be comfortable if he would make that agreement.
okay.
Like I said, I agree to keep it up, because we gotta get in and out too, and we don't wanna. When we first went out there, it was pretty bad shape, so we've been maintaining it.
Not everybody does that.
All right, any other questions of the applicant while we've got him? Okay, thanks, sir.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is that subject to adding the condition of he maintains the road?
Maintaining and grading and keep it in good driving conditions.
Yes.
And that's your second as well?
I don't know how we word that, maintain the road. It's subjective at best. And like the man says, he's got equipment, he's gonna do the road. I don't know that I'd put a condition that can't be enforced on it.
Okay.
So I would not second the motion as presented.
I mean, he volunteered to do it. Yeah. I'll second the motion. We got a motion and a second for approval, subject to the conditions, with the addition that the applicant has agreed to maintain the road moving forward. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, let's move on. The next item is item B, River Bum Treehouse Conditional Use Permit in the Fayetteville Planning Area. Staff report, please.
The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a short-term rental property to construct an elevated 400 square foot cabin tree house. The project parcel is 5 acres. The project itself will use 0.75 acres. The parcel is located within Fayetteville's planning area. Planning staff is requiring a conditional use permit because the applicant plans to apply for a large-scale development in the future to build more cabins. To date, planning staff has received an email objection to the project citing compatibility in the area. The rental will be open 24/7 and will be operated by 2 owners. The 400 square foot cabin will accommodate 4 to 5 guests. A septic design has been obtained to support up to 3 dwellings, and signage will direct visitors on appropriate paths on the property.
And there is a list of conditions, planning conditions there.
Okay, so there's 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And I guess my question is, so this is required simply because he stated that there's going to be a large-scale development at some point?
Yes, and
Is that
besides,
correct?
it's for profit, so it's going to be like a rental, like short-term rental.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it was 1 unit and there wasn't plans to do more, it wouldn't require a
Yep.
conditional use permit?
It's like commercial use, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Any other questions of staff, from the board for the staff on the report? Okay, is the applicant or applicant's representative here? Hi. If you would, please state your name and address for the record and tell us about the project, please.
My name's Angela Long. My address is 3411 South Eliza Lane, Farmington, Arkansas. This property is about 1/8 of a mile from my house, so it's very close. We're within close range. We intend to build one, you said elevated tree house. It is elevated to the extent it's maybe 4 feet off the ground on the front and only 6 feet off the ground on the back. So it's not what you would envision as a tall tree house. We intend to build only one at this time. In the future, we had thought about building more. That's in the distant future. At this point, we're only worried about the one house.
Questions?
Yes, when you get this done, how do you plan to control the noise level of the people that are renting it?
I don't anticipate a lot of noise. It's on a very secluded 5 acres. I really think that there will only be people coming in and out on the weekends more than anything. And I don't know that there's really anything there that would cause any noise. It's a beautiful, serene, that's how we're going to market it, is it's a beautiful, natural place to go. And I don't really anticipate any rowdy crowds or anything. And it's only 400 square feet, so maximum, maybe 4 people can go stay.
Thank you.
One of the conditions is a reasonable screening. I don't see a need for screening. Do you see a need for screening?
Screen?
That's the,
I mean, like a fenced area, just like for privacy
I mean,
fence in
that's
case
why
if
they're
it's needed.
there, is to see the trees
No.
and stuff around.
I
What-
think that would take away from it, actually.
Where would you put a fence? That's my question.
So how close is the closest home to this proposed site? Are you the closest home to it?
No, there
Okay.
is another home, I would say within maybe 1,000 yards, maybe?
Okay.
The site map, if you look at the site map, it's like to the southwest.
Okay, I was trying to see that, and I couldn't.
Southwest. Right here,
Okay,
maybe?
so it's gonna be here? Okay. Okay, all right. Any other questions of the applicant at this time? Go ahead.
No, you say that there may be expansion at a future date,
Possibly.
and that is gonna come before the planning board.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna
and
be a
then
large scale.
We'll hear
like
the
this,
history between then and now.
Yes, sir.
And honestly, we did not know that it would be such a process, so I don't know that we'll even go beyond the one home, honestly.
You know, I can anticipate concern from neighbors about.
Sure.
You don't possibly know who you're renting to, and we've all heard stories about, wild things
Yes.
happening at Airbnbs.
Sure.
And I don't
I
know
will
how much you're
say-
gonna protect that, and if that does in fact occur, what's the plan?
Yes, sir. So we have experience with Airbnb rental properties in another state. We own one home in Missouri, and then we also own one in Northeast Arkansas. We have never had any issues, but for the one that we own in Missouri, it's kind of a similar project. It's a cabin. It's on the river, and it's in a rowdy place, actually, and we've never had any issues. We have a company manage it for us. We have neighbors close by that kind of monitor it for us if there is any issues. And like I said, we live 1/8 of a mile from this place. If there's ever an issue, I'm within walking distance, and we're going to be on site pretty much.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, appreciate it. We may ask you for some additional input, but I'm gonna open it to public comment now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anybody from the public like to speak on this request? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
Yeah, the applicant, they've been in touch with the health department, and they're working on doing everything according to basically regulations, and I don't think they're gonna have any issue with the septic or anything like that. Like, they have good faith and
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a 400 square foot
Yeah.
structure. I mean, this is tiny.
yeah, the only reason we ask for fencing, because like from previous experience, we had like neighbors calling and afterwards being approved, so it's required if like they feel the need for it. If it's not like necessary, they don't have to. If there is like a tree line where I think that like obscure the vision from like the neighbors.
Are we gonna leave the provision number one?
That's, I mean, I think that's.
I'm gonna make a motion that we not have provision number one in it.
So there's a motion for approval of conditional use permit, striking condition number 1, which is reasonable screening from neighboring properties, which was only a recommendation.
I'll
The other,
second that.
the other conditions stay the same.
Yeah, just a recommendation, so I'm good with leaving it.
Okay, if it's just a recommendation, but
Yeah,
that's fine, but it's not.
it just in case if they're gonna expand and like they need it, it's there.
But if they expand, it has to come back to large-scale
sir.
development. We got
Yeah,
another
yeah.
bite of the apple at that
Yep.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
I'm
thank you.
good either way.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Got a motion for
Second.
approval and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. The next item is in the Goshen Planning Area, abandoned custom CUP. For the record, I will note that I'm also a member of the City of Goshen Planning Commission. I don't think there's any conflict there, but if anybody thinks there is, I'll recuse from this item. Staff, you would report?
The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for an existing one-man automotive repair business in a 40-foot by 60-foot building. The project parcel is 6.04 acres The project itself will only use 0.1 acre. The parcel is in the Goshen planning area, and the applicant was unaware of the CUP process and is seeking a permit to be compliant with county zoning ordinances. To date, planning staff has not received any comments concerning this project. The project parcel contains the applicant's home, a 2,400 square foot shop building, and a 2,000 square foot gravel parking lot. The applicant is the only employee. Hours will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and non-illuminated signage will be located near Washington County Road 371 and halfway up the driveway as well.
Any questions from staff on the report? If not, I'll ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to join us. Applicant's not here. Okay. We'll proceed. Is there anybody from the public that would like to make public comment on this item?
We haven't received any complaints from one of the
No
neighbors.
complaints.
He actually like owns like him and his family like owns like the entire like.
Okay, all right. All right, seeing no comments, I'll close it and bring it back to the board for action.
Recommend approval as written.
Got a motion and a second for approval of abandoned custom CUP. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move on. Land development hearings in the county. The first item, item D, Steve Wilson minor subdivision. Staff report, please.
This is a amendment to the original minor subdivision that was approved on the 28th of last month as project 270. The project parcel is 12.12 acres. The project itself will be creating 3 new parcels at 3.866 acres, 3.2 acres, and 4.234 acres, respectively. To date, planning staff has received 2 neighbor comments citing compatibility in the area. The planning staff has not yet received a perk test from the applicant, and we do have some planning conditions as well.
Okay, so tell me real quick what changed from last time.
Previous it was like split into 4, and now
It's
because
3.
yeah, now it's 3.
Okay, so instead of 4
Yes,
lots,
sir.
we're creating 3.
Yep.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure. Typically, we see them going the other way, more instead of less. Okay, any questions of staff on the report from the board? If not, the applicant is here, if you would please tell us about the project, or the applicant's representative.
Hello, Nathan Crouch with Balloon Associates again. I just want to echo what Laurel said, is they're going from 4 lots down to 3, and they had, after the approval at the last planning commission meeting, we had discussion, decided due to difficulties with Washington Water Authority and with other difficulties as far as health department and everything, wanted to go ahead and drop that down 1 lot. With the hydraulic pressure of Washington Water Authority water main out there at the street, they've got good pressure down there along Highway 71, but as it goes up that hill, you know, it loses pressure pretty quick as it goes uphill. And that was basically the big idea, was to knock it down to 3 lots, bringing that top lot southern property line down lower, closer to the road, in order to bring that connection to the water grid. Trying to make it work.
Okay.
And but we have the property owner here as well, if you have any questions for
Okay.
him.
Any questions of the applicant representative this time? Go ahead.
I've got one. I just want to clarify. Now, it has already been approved for 4.
Yes.
So we're not arguing the fact that it's going to be split lots or anything. We're going from 4 to 3. That's what we're talking about in this meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Open this up to public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make comment on this, please?
Yes.
Hi. If you would, please state your name and address for the record for us.
I am Janice Stonecipher. I live at 172 Mill Street in Farmington, Arkansas. I actually own the property that is to the east of Mr. Wilson, and I was here on the 28th when you made an amendment that the perk test had to be correct before you would okay it. But no mention was made of the road that he has built up beside my property. And it was stated in both last year and this 28th of September that he was going to use his existing road. So I called the planning committee and asked, why would he spend so much money on a new road to the right but never mentioned by his representative or himself? And I have not got a good answer yet.
Okay.
And that is my concern. It's on a very hill. You all know probably where it is. And the water comes down mightily. So I'm just worried about the water.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Anybody else from the public like to make comment on this request? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board.
I have a little bit of concern about what was said about the road. I don't know if I recall, or I was not on this board when that happened originally, but what was the deal on the road?
If you can see the summary and site plan, there is a roadway that comes off the left side. That was the original.
So the road is gonna be like road / utility access easement, all of it like to the west. I guess like he's using like the road to the right now for like construction, like and leveling of the land. But I believe like eventually it's gonna be like to the left of that.
Would the applicant like to make a comment on the road?
I've spoken with Mr. Wilson about the road, and what we have shown on the current proposal is the access utility easement on the west side running up the hill. And from what I've understood from talking with planning property owner, and after hearing secondhand comments from Mrs. Stonecipher, that he may be going up the east side of the road as a bit of a construction road. In my conversation with Mr. Wilson, I said, you want us to go ahead and redraft this access road, put it over on the east side? And he said, not yet, because we do still plan on using that western access. It just happens to be easier to access the top lot from the east right now before we actually sink money into building that road on the west.
Okay.
But Mr. Wilson is here also, and I just wanted to kind of tell you give you my 2 cents on what I have learned after talking with a few parties, but Mr. Wilson can address that too.
I do have a question, and
Sir.
I've seen many examples where a developer will come in and sell off 3 lots and make a fairly substandard road, and then it causes a lot of erosion for the property owners, which is not Ms. Stonecipher's particular issue.
Indeed.
But it's the people who buy that top lot, and the road is always eroded because they put 12-inch culverts through it, and they fill up in about a year.
And there it is, yeah.
But is any of this runoff water erosion going to affect Ms. Stonecipher's land, the property that she owns?
Be honest, I haven't been there.
And you've done the engineering?
There's no engineering involved on this. This is a survey.
Okay, survey. Okay.
And so there's no drainage report requirement on this. And, as far as the requirement, what's required is a 30-foot access utility easement going up to the top of the road. And not until you break a certain threshold of lots is that road required to be built to a certain standard. It's a private road.
So as
I believe it's
proposed, it's
over
within
5
the
lots.
ordinances all
It is
Washington
within the
County.
ordinances, and it's gonna be to the left according to the plans we have in the survey. And we haven't seen any issue with it because like our ordinances does not require him like to modify more than what we.
Yep, okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions, of the applicant? Okay. Anybody want to venture a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the Steve Wilson minor subdivision.
We got a motion, is there a second? Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Make sure I don't skip one here.
Tremor Mountain.
Tremor Mountain Estates subdivision replat of lots 34 and 35 in the county, item E. Staff report, please.
The applicant is requesting a replat of 2 tracts to adjust a property line between the parcels. The project parcel is 14.8 acres. Tract 1 would be 8.88 acres, and Tract 2 would be 5.76 acres. To date, planning staff has not received any comments concerning this project.
Okay. So basically, we're taking an existing lot and breaking it into two, correct?
Yeah, if it's not in the subdivision, if it was not in a subdivision, it would be a tract split.
Okay. But the two lots being created, one's almost 9 acres and one's 5.76.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure I was on the right one. All right, any question of staff for the report from the board?
Oh, yeah, like they meet all the ordinances and the requirements, yeah.
Question is why it couldn't be approved administratively.
It's a replat, it's a subdivision, it has to go through before the planning board. Replats are required.
If
to
it
go
was a
before the
tract, if it was a county
tract,
tract, it would be approved, but since it's a lot and block subdivision, it has to go
yes,
through this
yeah, if
process.
it was not in a subdivision, you won't see it.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions of the staff by board members? If not, the applicant is here. If you would, please state your name and address for the record. Tell us a little bit about the project, sir.
Yes, I'm Matt James with James Layout Services. I'm the surveyor representing the client. Actually, to correct that earlier statement, this is basically a reconfiguration of two existing lots in the Trammell Mountain subdivision. By deed, it's 2 lots, and we're just reconfiguring that line, and no additional lots are being created.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Appreciate the clarification. I was wrong on that.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Any questions of the applicant? Okay, if not, I'll open it to the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on this requested replat? Seeing none, I'll close it and bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We got a motion for
Second.
approval and a second. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. RGB Estate Subdivision replat of Lot 2. Staff report, please.
The applicant is requesting a replat of one tract to split it into 2 parcels. The project parcel is 9.49 acres. Tract 1 would be 5 acres, and Tract 2 would be 4.49 acres. To date, planning staff has not received any comments concerning the project, and this is a similar situation where it is in a subdivision.
Over here,
Okay, I didn't know. All right, thank you, sorry. Any question on staff report from board? Not, the applicant is here. If you would, please state your name and address for the record. Tell us about what you're doing, sir.
Blaine Atchley with Bates & Associates, representing the client for this project. Laurel did a great job explaining it, and yeah, I'm here to answer any questions if y'all have any.
Okay. All right, any questions of the applicant from the board? Okay. Anybody from the public like to speak on this subdivision replat of Lot 2 of RGB acres? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board.
Motion to pass?
Got a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on. County item G, Cedar Creek Minor Subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, I have interest in this project, so I'll recuse myself from the conversation.
Thank you, sir. Staff report, please.
The applicant is requesting the creation of a minor subdivision, which would create 4 new parcels. The project parcel is 13.27 acres. Each of the new tracts would be approximately 3.3 acres. To date, planning staff has not received any new comments concerning this project.
Okay. Any questions from the board for the staff report? Okay. Seeing none, the applicant's representative or applicant would state your name and address for the record and tell us about the project, please.
Tim West with Atlas Professional Land Surveying, 425 North Centennial Avenue, West Fork. I'm here today to answer any questions that you might have.
The only question I had was on ingress, egress. These all front Highway 412, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
There's going to be a shared access drive coming in, just one, so there'll only be one.
Okay,
One
that was-
drive coming off the highway, and then once it enters the property, it will turn east and west to access the other lots.
Okay, that was my only question. I know there's I mean, that's obviously a big highway, high speeds, and I'm sure state requirements on curb cuts and that sort of thing. So-
Correct.
And
yeah.
we never received any comments or concerns for the highway
Okay.
department, so.
All right. Any questions of the applicant from the board? Seeing none, I'll open this one up for public comments. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this item? Okay, I'll close it to public comment and bring it back to the board for action.
Recommend approval.
We got a motion for approval of Cedar Creek minor subdivisions, or a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Fayetteville Planning Area, Mallywagnon Self-Storage Preliminary Large-Scale Development. Staff report, please.
The applicant is submitting a preliminary large-scale development plan for the operation of a 12th and ratified on April 25th. Project is in the Fayetteville planning area. To date, planning staff has received 2 neighbor comments or questions concerning this project. The office space will be 25 feet by 25 feet with 3 parking stalls, one of which will be ADA accessible, a fenced retention pond with a 30,914 square foot capacity will be on the east end of the property. And we do have a couple planning conditions, including providing screening to mitigate visibility to neighboring properties. And then if anything changes, they will need to come before the planning board again.
Okay.
And
all right.
eventually they're gonna come for the final large scale when it's
Sure.
stage, so.
Okay, all right. Is the applicant here tonight? If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Chris Bakunis with McClellan Consulting Engineers. I'm happy to answer any technical questions if you have them. Ms. Harris, the property owner, is also here as well. As far as I know, I think we're meeting or exceeding all the county requirements or Fayetteville planning requirements. As far as the conditions, were those the only 2 the ones that you mentioned?
Those are just planning department conditions. There are
Okay.
others from other departments.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there is like a list of them.
Okay. So as far as the screening, we are providing vegetated screening around the property, so I think we're covered there.
Okay. Question, and I probably already know the answer. So I remember when we did the conditional use permit, there was a lot of conversation about stormwater runoff. You've had a stormwater runoff report completed, and this retention pond is proposed is adequate to meet that
Yes, sir.
need?
It's actually detaining more than what's required, so don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but as far as cubic feet per second, I think it's like 10 cubic feet less for the 100-year storm than
Okay.
the conditions right now, so it's over detaining.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the board members for the applicant? Okay, appreciate it. We may bring you back up in a little bit. I'll open this up for public comment. Again, would like to remind everybody, the conditional use permit for this project was approved by this board and ratified by the quorum court. So compatibility issues, those sorts of things are not what we're addressing. We're specifically talking about the preliminary large-scale development of this project and the specifics of the project. So if you would kind of keep that in mind with your comments. Individuals have 3 minutes to speak, and any representative of a group has 10. If you would, please state your name and address for the record, sir.
How's it going? Cannon McNair. My family and I live at 1999 South Van Hoos Drive. Since we did prepare our statements, I can't guarantee I can be within the guidelines you just gave us on the compatibility, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
Yep. I'll keep it simple. Well, I think this project is incompatible in this location. The city of Fayetteville agrees with us on this, and we are in the Fayetteville planning area. We have an email from a year ago from the city planning staff that quotes, "City planning staff asserts that locating it on agricultural land in close proximity to residential uses is not compatible," end quote. Furthermore, the residents of this community, the people who live on this mountain, especially Mallywagnon and Van Hoos Drive, are united in our opposition to this project, and for many reasons. We've sent over 60 emails and letters since this process began, and we're also engaged in a legal battle. The comments that came that are not present on the current documents don't show up, but there's a long history of people and how they feel about this project, part of which may not show up tonight given the agenda. They may not have come on time. Long story short, though, commercial activity of this type does not fit this area. We're concerned about light pollution, water runoff, noise, road damage, visual incompatibility with warehouse buildings, and most importantly, human safety from increased traffic on the roadway. The road leading to this site is already too small for the traffic from our community alone. It's a skinny road with chip seal. As you enter Mallywagnon, headed south from Highway 16, you immediately encounter a one-way section of road that lasts a couple hundred feet. You cannot get 2 cars through that section. From there to the site, there's no shoulder, and there's just enough space for 2 cars to pass. Based on the square footage and the applicant's existing facility, we expect to see roughly 600 storage units at this property. In other words, there will be at least 600 opportunities to put human lives in danger. 600 opportunities for everyday people driving U-Haul trucks and trailers to try to encounter unsafe conditions on that road. It's difficult enough for us. I have a ranch there, and I pull a trailer through that section all the time. It's difficult to get into that road. I can only imagine folks who aren't used to driving big vehicles like U-Hauls going to storage units. And it also means 600 opportunities for children who play around this road to be put in danger. And that's only if those people go to their storage unit once. That's the decision that we believe you're up against today. This is not about the applicants following the rules of the application. This is about how poorly the site was selected. Of all the places in Washington County to place a 600-unit storage facility, I guarantee you this location will put people's lives and well-being in danger. And that's the decision you all have the difficult responsibility to make. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Again, just as a reminder, compatibility was discussed and approved through the conditional use permit. We're talking specifically about the large-scale development of this project. Hi.
Hello, thank you. I'm Evan House. I live at 6073 East Huntsville Road. My family and I own the 40 acres just northeast of this project. We're also the downstream property owners. And we acquired the land and use it for the intended agricultural purposes. So I have a lot of concerns about the water flow. The last sentence in the conclusion of the drainage report states that the design is based on and limited by the weather data, the analysis, and their applicability as presented herein. I think that's important because I have concerns that the data is outdated, as according to the Beaver Watershed Alliance, just recently resurveyed the area and identified multiple culverts that send water across the road, down the mountain onto the subject property. Also, I have concerns on the application where it says the ADEQ needs to provide a stormwater discharge permit, and it seems like that should be a prerequisite to the LSD permit. Also, lastly, on the most updated version of the packet that I saw this morning, I noticed, as did the review engineer, several mistakes on the application. And most importantly to me, on the north edge, the runoff is at a lower elevation than the entrance into the retention pond. In other words, that water can't flow into the pond and will continue to flow downhill to my property. Also, to restate what Cannon said, the city of Fayetteville, the reason for their opposition to the project was largely due to the visibility and the lighting. And I have concerns, judging by the current facility that the Harrises own, that even with the approved downlighting, the glow off the gravel and the brightly painted buildings will illuminate the surrounding areas in an otherwise very dark and pleasant part of the county. So I didn't see a whole lot. I saw a quick piece of paper on what types of lights were approved, and if that's what's approved, it's really, really going to change the nature of the nighttime view for everybody out there. A lot of my other concerns were compatibility related, so I will save it. But I do believe there's a reason for the agricultural zoning, as Arkansas has a rich history of being an agri state, and we just want to see sustainable and agriculture coming to our areas. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
My name is Jim Saxon. I'll get down here in just a minute. And I own 70 acres that adjoins the project on the south side and the east side. And I'm very concerned with the water flow, and on that deal. I was with Mr. Addy yesterday, and he gave me a copy of the report that McClellan Engineers, I'll get up here a little closer. McClellan Engineers designed for that, and I have a problem with it. It's about, I don't know how many pages, Sam, and I virtually don't understand hardly any of the pages that are in there. I know maybe I should, but I don't really agree. And I would like, this is a Beaver Lake that we requested, a water flow from the mountain the first of the year. We had them out there, and they walked over the deal and looked at all the culverts that comes off of the hill and the ones that come down on the west side of Mallywagnon and goes under the road and over into this area. I would like for us to be given time to at least get somebody to consult with us and see if this is actually a survey that, the best I could tell on that, Sam, it's only on 73 acres, I think, is what they said the water flow was. If I'm reading it correctly. I don't know if I've been reading it right or not. But
well, again, so part of the county requirements are stormwater runoff study done by a qualified person, and the requirement is that any improvement on the property has to have retention to where the water that leaves the property is no different than it was before the development was done. And that's what we've got to depend on. None of us, well, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not an expert in that. That's one of the requirements that the county has, and we have to depend on those professionals that do those reports.
Well, what I would really like to have is a little bit of time to hire our own personal person to look at this situation. It looks to me like from looking at this map that there's a lot more land involved in this than what they list in their, and like I say, I've had very little time to look over it myself, and I'm afraid when I do, I'm not going to know a lot more than what I do now. But I would like to get a surveyor or somebody to do this that might have a different opinion on it. I knew about this. I've talked about this since last January about the water problem, and then I guess it should have been that way. It was put off until just recently, and I didn't know there was a study that had been done until yesterday. I got a copy from Sam yesterday.
Staff report is being published since like last Friday.
But I still think we should be given an opportunity to have somebody do this thing and maybe have a different opinion on it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Taylor. I live to the south of this project on 70 acres, which is kind of up on the hill away from where the project is. What I'd ask to bring to your attention is the comments under road/parking conditions. Number one, a permit from the Washington County Road Department or the Arkansas Department of Transportation may be required prior to any work being completed in the right-of-way. This goes back to what Mr. McNair said. You have to understand that when you turn off of Huntsville Road onto Mallywaggon Road, it is one of the most dangerous places in Washington County. And I'm not being dramatic, I'm just telling you how it is. I've lived there for 15 years. When you pull off there, tonight, when I go home, if there's a car coming from the other way that's not familiar with that roadway, I will have to get off in the ditch because people don't slow down. all of us people who live out there are used to it, and we allow cars to get by. But unless that road is fixed prior to this project going in, or somebody goes out there and corrects that, there's going to be an accident, there's somebody gonna be hurt. Especially if you have 600 units out there, and I don't know if a unit is limited to the person who buys it or who rents it, or can say I rented it, could I let my mother-in-law use it, my brother use it? I mean, how many people does that involve? But I urge you, because it uses the word may be needed, not to approve this at this point. That needs to be resolved before anything is done as it relates to a full-scale development. Because literally, this is the point of access to the whole development. If you look also at the road and parking conditions, it says all entrance drives, employees, and customer parking must support 75,000 pounds in all weather conditions. When you pull off a Huntsville Road on to Malley Wagon going south, if you were in a vehicle that had 75,000 pounds and there's a car coming from the other direction, all you're going to do is go off the road and into the ditch and probably block access. This needs to be resolved, this bottleneck, that's really what it is. It's a complete bottleneck, needs to be resolved before anything else is done on this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, if not, I'm going to close it and bring it back to the board and staff. So, question.
Clarifications?
Molly Gagnon Road, is it a county road, state highway? What is the designation of
It's
that?
a county road, and it's split between the city of Fayetteville and Washington County.
So it's a county road, maintenance is split between county and city?
Yes,
Okay.
and the road permit, in the right-of-way, basically, pertains to the culvert.
Okay.
And it's a right-of-way. It's not like maintaining the road. It has nothing to do with maintaining the road. Right-of-way is inside the property. The 75,000 pounds, that pertains to the fire safety. So in case if they need to have a tanker there, that will support it instead of sinking. For the lights pollution, they have the applicants and the staff report has the permitted type of lights that's shining down, and they have to abide with that. The Beaver Lake district were notified. We always notify all of them, and we haven't received any comments from them. Nothing came back. If you remember, recall the Beaver Lake tiny homes, we received an email and a list of requirements, but they still they don't have jurisdiction over what we do. They just suggest, same as the city of Fayetteville. The city of Fayetteville will suggest, but they have no jurisdiction over zoning in the county. ADEQ stormwater, that's why they did the detention pond. What else? Engineering examined all of this. Our county engineer examined all of this, and that was a communication between him and the Mr. Bakunis, the engineer, and they corrected everything, and that's why this was presented today. So if there was any engineering concern, it would have been already resolved before coming to the board.
Okay.
So.
Another question I had.
Yes, sir.
And I'm looking at our report here, and all I see are the planning commission requirements. It's been mentioned that there are other departmental requirements.
Oh yeah, we have a stack of them in the staff report. There's all departments, the electric and the other utilities, and yeah.
Okay, all right. Do we typically see those in our planning report, or that's
it's
more...
in the staff report, all of them. This project is about 100 something,
okay.
something,
Right.
120 some pages.
Okay, I missed seeing that. I apologize. Okay, any other questions of the staff?
Is it a retention pond or a detention pond?
It's is there any difference, Mr. Bakunis?
Detention, okay.
It says retention.
And the point of doing a study is math. It's not an opinion. It's math. Square footage of roof that they put where the land
Yeah, it's
was
impervious,
absorbed.
impervious surface, and
Right,
they
so
do
what-
have like a coastal
County,
safety
county
work on it.
engineering also has to review.
Yeah, they
and
reviewed
approve
all
and
of it, and
accept
we
the
have all of it in
Again,
the staff report.
I guess my point is that further review will not change the math. Okay.
Okay, so I guess the last question is on the road improvements, when will that determination be made? Who makes that determination?
I believe like they went like through this like during the CUP, and I don't think like the city of Fayetteville is going to improve on it, and I don't think the county is going to improve on it at this point. I can't speak for the road department, but we had this discussion during the CUP, and it's actually when they spoke about like the runoff and like let's do our own study. They did this like in January. It was approved, and like it was like presented to the quorum court. And then Mr. Gary Ricker, like he asked for this to be delayed another 30 days just to do the study for it, and it was delayed another time. I guess it was like approved on the third reading, so it took forever like to get this approved. So all of this, I believe, it's being like covered.
Okay. So the quorum court has talked about and addressed.
Yeah, I mean,
the
we're
road
not.
improvement.
Once again, we're not discussing condition. They're meeting our requirements like for like a large scale. Basically, they met all like the check boxes. Mr. Bakunis is here. He can go look over this because he's responsible for this as well.
Okay. All right. And then my last question, this is a preliminary large-scale development.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
What is the next step that the applicant would
Next
do?
step, like when everything is done, they have to apply for a final, and we do normally like a walkthrough. And our engineer goes like with their engineers, and like we're involved in it, and we go and inspect. And if it does not meet any of the requirements, it has to be redone before like coming to you. So the final item on the agenda is a final, like, and like you will see why.
Okay. All right. Questions? Go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve this because these people have bent over backwards and have gone through a long period of time waiting, and there's no legitimate position. And I understand the neighbors don't want to look at this. I mean, I get it, but that's not our role. So I make a recommendation to approve.
We got a motion for approval. Is there a second? Second. We got a motion and a second. Any other comments by the board? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? One opposed. So it passes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, the next item, I'm sorry. I understand.
All the boxes have been ticked and checked and everything, that's fine. It's just, my concern is the road.
Yes. Okay, we'll move forward. Weddington Self-Storage, Large-Scale Development, Phase 1 and 2, Item I. Staff report, please.
Let's see if this is gonna like cooperate. Yeah, that's went to sleep, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, the project engineer is like eager to go and jump. Yeah. So we have the site and like vicinity map of the project, and this project was. I'm gonna go over like the history because it's the final. Like I don't think you're gonna see this again. So like Weddington Self Storage, like CUP project number 2019-266 was approved on December 12th of 2019, and the Weddington Self Storage pre-LSD for phases 1 and 2. Project 2020-046 was approved on June 11, 2020. So that's been like in the works for like a couple of years. This project, the preliminary application for it and the paperwork was submitted in February 16 of this year. And since February until now, they've been working on it to finalize it with our engineers back and forth and everything to make sure everything is okay. So this LSD as-built plan were submitted on September 19, 2023, and that's what we have right now. So the final is LSD being sought to finalize and operate the phases 1 and 2 of the self-storage facility, comprising of 6 and 5 various size storage buildings, respectively. The project parcels are in the city of Fayetteville planning area. The project parcels are approximately 20 acres, more or less, in size. Less than 20 acres will be utilized for this self-storage in phases 1 and 2. The engineering and technical concerns are in the process of being met before signing on the final plats. The site visit was done. We did like the planning, our engineer, county engineer, and the applicant's engineer. We did a site visit on October 13th, 2023, to just like make sure like everything like checks and like meets all the requirements. And there was like some concerns and like fixes and cleaning, like clean that like detention pond, and like we're gonna like do this, and that's why we're waiting on finalizing everything. So nothing is gonna be signed on until like we receive all the feedback. But we did not want to hold this like for another like month until like things get done.
Okay.
So the project location is on the north side of West Weddington Drive, Arkansas State Highway 16, approximately like 2 miles west of Interstate 49. The project will access West Weddington Drive utilizing 2 parcels located in the city of Fayetteville. And that's why the city of Fayetteville was involved in it to begin with, because their access is from the city, everything else is the county planning. 6-foot like barbed wire chain link fence surrounding the entire like properties. Perimeter has been established, and illuminated like 3 by 19 foot like signage is mounted above the main office building. It's a massive, about like 145,000 cubic foot like detention pond located to the north of the properties, will serve the current and like future phase 3 development. And landscaping is being coordinated with the city of Fayetteville, and it will be like finalized like soon. We have a couple of planning conditions about like entering and exiting the property, and that's in our ordinances. They're not supposed to be backing up like into the highway. So it's like safety, and definitely any further like changes, it has to come before us. And I know for sure that they're working on like phase 3, so they're gonna apply for phase 3 as preliminary and then final. So for now, we're just like focusing on finalizing phase 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board for the staff report? Okay, applicant, if you would please state your name and address, or name and position for the record.
Jeff Weezer, number for ESI Engineering.
Okay, thank you, sir. You've been in the communications with the county, understand the requirements for them to sign off on final. Any concerns, anything outstanding or pending that you have concerns about?
We have some things that the engineer mentioned that we will provide, given that the conditions are met, and we will provide pictures and documentation that we are able to meet the standards.
Okay, all right. Questions of the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Open it to public comment. If there's anybody here that would like to speak regarding this issue. Seeing none, I'll close that and bring it back to the board for questions or action.
I've got a question. Why so many self-storages do we need in this town? It's amazing.
City is growing.
But it's a commercial thing, you know? I mean, it's.
A year ago, I sold my house and was building a house, moved into a rent house. I had to drive to Lowell to get a storage unit to put my stuff in for a year while I built a new house. There was not one in the city of Fayetteville. There was not one in the city of Springdale. There's the demand, they're 99+% occupied.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, make a motion, we approve.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for working through the process. Look forward to seeing phase 3. Okay, what else do we have for the good of the order? Comments?
Absolutely, like we've been working for the past like 2 months to update and modify the new floodplain like prevention code, and one of them was approved. We're gonna work like on like finalizing the updated one for the next quorum court meeting, and it's about like 30 pages long. So next planning board meeting is going to be the 7th of December, and January 11th is going to be next year's like planning board meeting.
All right.
We're working on the agenda like for like next year. So.
Do we have any terms expiring next year?
I believe so, and I believe it's like going to be Mr. Phillip and maybe Neil, right? I'm not sure, but like I believe so.
Not mine then.
No, you're okay.
Okay.
We can always get you fired if you want to. It's
No.
like,
No. I'm sure the judge can find something for you to do. All right, anything else?
I've got a comment. I wanted to tell you, Sam, I'm impressed with the job you're doing. Laurel, that's the model right there. That's the model.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you so
efficient,
much, sir.
very
Thank you.
competent.
Did a good job. Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so much,
support.
guys.
Yep. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Like to hear
Aye.
that.
We're adjourned.